We are live. Hello to everyone. I am the Seattle Black Veteran. Thank you for rocking with me, tuning in. We have a little bit to discuss with you today. Let's get this on the road here. I am the Seattle Black Veteran. I represent anything that's due to military. If I can give you my little bit of insight, I'm hoping it helps you. As we always start, understand I am not an attorney, nor do I work for an attorney. I do not work for the VA or any capacity associated with the VA. So I'm here hopefully to give you something that I had to learn the hard way, and hopefully you don't have to. All right, so let's get this party started. What's good? What's really good? It is you today. Hope you're doing wonderful. Okay, I started this channel. I said, well, okay, today I was going to talk about, and I still will, we're going to mention work resource. I have to look at this active duty to civilian life and inflation. Okay, so let's see if I can start you off in the right place here. And we're going to go from active duty to civilian life. Now, if you have served active duty or retired, reserves, or whatever, drop in the comments what you think, what your experiences was with going from active duty to civilian life. I see that, I thought there was Patty G in the house. I was going to be blessed. Oh, hey, I got to get my people over at my Facebook page. A lot of props and love. Thank you very much for even dropping comments over there, too. Hey, what's up to my brother-in-law, Brian? What's up, brother? I see you over there. Thank you for your comments on the page one time, brother. I appreciate you. Always welcome here. All right, so we're talking about going to active duty to reserves or active duty to civilian life. This is gonna be like in parts because I'm gonna be talking with people more and more, so I can get you like the closest to the 411. But what I would say right now is preparing yourself, and they have these classes, from what I understand, that they offer you in active duty to prepare you for the civilian life, and that is how to take your military information and convert that into civilian information to where you can put that onto a resume to where it can help you get further in your career, so you don't have to start at step one. I always equate this: if you were a medic and you were a medic for 3 years at the minimum on your first term, you're going to learn a lot of stuff that you don't need to start a civilian life all over again doing, which is good. When I got out, you didn't have these particular type of apparatuses for you to convert your civilian life into your military life into a civilian life. So these are the things I want you to be really aware of as well. Okay, so now another thing is, and we're going to talk about the WorkSource, it's going to go into that. But when you're transitioning from active duty to civilian life operates, I'd say, a lot different. When you're in the military and you are asked a question by your higher ups, you have to have an answer ready. Or they will tell you you have to have it at this particular point in time to have it ready. There is no I forgot. There is none of that does not apply. This affects your immediate raise or your next review if you're trying to get a raise. Okay, so you have to be aware of that in civilian life. A lot of people, when they can make these mistakes, they can not be. They can get away with not being fully responsible, and it depends. They know somebody. I mean, it happens in the military as well, but not as often. I don't know if it still does today. It happened often back when I was in, but anyway. So let's talk about the WorkSource. Let me drag some stuff over here because I want you to be aware of what the WorkSource can do for you. Actually, tomorrow I'm going over there and I'm going to speak with a counselor, and we're going to talk about a few things. And these are the things that I would say, even if you are, say if you already have a job, pretty much everybody does. And say, there's a promotion that's coming and maybe coming your way, you might want to be aware of how you can have your resume prepared for it. This is the WorkSource here in Washington State. I'm pretty sure it's called that in some other states. But this is the WorkSource, and this is a source. When I put in WorkSource for veterans, these are the things that you have that are resources that you can use when you. Let me see if I make this. I don't like making this page large, but let me see if I can make it grow somewhere. All right, so when you see the tools that you can work with, and this is just my work source. When you go in, things that you can do and things that you can inquire that you are interested in, and they can help tailor your resume towards that particular subject. Okay, career tools. And you can go in, but I strongly urge you to go in and check out the WorkSource Center. Now, not just this is getting you a job. If you are in that particular town and you can prove that you need some money to help you with next month's rents, and you can come up with those documents, but check it's the work source that is in your town. Okay, that's how it worked over here. I'm in Washington State. It'll be different in your place. But check with that. You'll get a one-time, and they have a maximum what they can give you to help you with that. And on top of that, they can start getting you information if you are on the verge of being homeless, where you probably need to go to get assistance and help. Okay. They do have counselors there that can talk to you about your career being moving forward. As you can see, as I'm moving over here, resources, searching for job, career. See that right here. It says career advice if you need that for that. And so this is a place that I would say as well. Even when you get out of the military, every 6 months to a year, renew your resume. All right. Now, if you really want to know what's entailed in the resume, when you're even doing your job, you write down these particular jobs that you were functioning or that you were doing. And so also you need to, how long have you been doing it? How much times of a day? And I always say this too, when you go to WorkSource, which I believe is a beautiful place to go to get help with building a resume, because you got counselors there to help you. There's different resumes for different jobs, for different places. Like the government has a different style of resume. You may be going to a corporation that has a different style of resume. So you have to be very aware of the style of resume that you need to have if you are going to move to this next level. Also, the WorkSource will provide you with interview help if you have to do a in-face interview or if you have to do it online. They will also have counselors there that will help guide you through those things. So I say this because we're going to talk about this. The inflation is going to be happening. I'm going to show you a couple of content creators, and you can see them down in the description. I mentioned a few content creators that I do listen to, and I think I'm not saying anybody else is not viable to give you better information, but those are some of the people I listen to, and I ask you to check them out because the information is free there and it's pretty much on point with if you're looking at homes and buying a home. Okay, so now this leads us to it. Now we're going to get back into, we're talking about this now, is when you're leaving out of active duty, getting your resume, utilizing your GI Bill to the maximum. We talked about this. Some people tell me that Chapter 31 offers you more than the GI Bill. I don't know because I never utilized my GI Bill. Knock on wood, I didn't. I mean, that's the wrong way to make fly. All right, so, but if you did use it, if you didn't, you can use the Chapter 31 when you get a rate increase. Now, you guys have to forgive me. I was on the phone. I was earlier talking to my friend Patty J. I was dealing with city council. I listen to city council, but I have things I mention when I'm in city council. I fight for my seniors as well as fighting. I fight for you like your mother and your fathers. I fight for those people now, and I also try to fight for veterans. Okay. All right. So, I always say I'm a lifetime member of the DAV, Disabled American Veterans, but I am not here on their behalf. I'm on my own behalf. Okay. All right. So, we're talking about this is adjusting from when you get out of the military, when you get to civilian. So, one of the things, and like I say, you should already know that if you have your VHIC, go to the nearest VA hospital and get that ID card. As long as you're honorable, you don't have to be dishonorable. I mean, you don't have to be a disabled veteran uh, to receive this card. And like I said, it'll give you access to the exchange and to the commissary. Okay. All right. So look into that and look what your particular region requires, what paperwork it requires for you to have. In different regions, they would ask you, I know for the DD 214, um, um, and I think that's pretty much you need to do, and a government ID when you go to your local, I mean, the VA hospital should have one, but find out, check it out in your region. Okay, so this is the thing you have to be. It's going to really kind of hit you a little bit when you get out of the military. When I got out, you didn't have access to it, and it took a long fight to do it. I forget what year, it was 3 years ago. It finally got approved that, and my thing was, I argued about it. Finally got approved that when you get out of the military, that you can sort of access to the post. You know, now it didn't happen until I think it was years ago. It finally did happen. So then I was saying about disabled veterans as well. You had no choice but to get out, and why are you now denied these accesses? So, I mean, if you're used to military life or whatever, but understand you are no longer active, and there's certain restrictions that you have, and this is how it is. I go on to the post. I'm just really interested in talking to my young brothers and sisters who are active duty, and I'll be getting some more stuff to talk with you about that. Okay. I'm going to do Works Resource tomorrow on the top of the counselor. I am actually going on my personal behalf. And if you have any questions, please let me know the questions, because my next live, which will probably be in 2 days or so, I'm hoping 2 days at the most. Once I get this information, I'll have to get it to you so it's kind of hot off the press. Okay. So on top of that, if you're getting out, that's the changes that you're going to have to be going through. And you still have access to the post. So, you know, if you're still kind of, in need of, being around the military and slowly graduating yourself away from the military and being happy with some of the stuff you don't have to deal with no more. But then, dealing with these civilians, it's a whole different ball game out here. A lot of us, the civilians now, it's about us, and it's about our move and what can help us what can help us move up the ladder. And a lot of us, whether maybe we're not taught the creed and don't, or say it's too much of the Kool-Aid and they don't want to. My thing is, it's helping your fellow citizens. It's to the capacity of what you can. If you can, and if it's causing you to sleep, it's stressful on your health, no, then you should not be doing that. If you can stomach all that stuff, go for it. But do it with pride and dignity and respect and humility. Everybody, when we get into these positions, it's boom, boom, boom. It's all about us. But come on. Hey, Patty J, what's up, girl? Capricorn. Oh, right on. Hey, it's let me see. It's so hard to see politics. Yes. Thank you so much for being here, both of you guys. I appreciate you. Let me just drop this up for you and say thank you so much. Appreciate you very much, both of you, for being here. Even just stopping. Appreciate you. Patty J, you 100. You're my girl for real. Those are some of the things. Now I'm gonna get into it more because I've been kind of separated a lot from this, from the active duty. But when I get a chance to talk to people who are close to it, I'm in for picking their brain so we can talk to you about real stuff at the real time, right? All right, so let me see. Here's a few things I want to bump to you guys. Okay, so we talked to you about, this is what I want you to see as well. When I talk to you guys about, when I talk to you about renting, getting apartments and stuff, here's a few people I want you to just to check out for a second here. And I'm kind of I'm going to cut a little bit into the videos and stuff, but this is one lady, and this is her name. Let me pull her up on here, and I'm just going to use in fair use for this because I think that she's a very important person that you should check out. Let me see, let me pull her over here, and she does the work just like I'm doing it for free.
I always refer to
Let's pause that. I don't want to give that there. I want to do this here. This is her channel, her YouTube channel here. And it's a few videos off of here. Let me click on her videos here. And I like her videos, so please check her out. And she does her work for free. She's like me. She's got over 100 videos, and that was back when I showed this video here of her. But yeah, please check her out and show her some love, because this is one of her videos. Let me show you. Hopefully it's not too loud here.
Alice in Wonderland world. So in your head, you could be like, okay, I'm going to get a second job. That will give me more income. You know, then I'll be ready to go once I have that second job for a couple months. No, that's not going to work. And the reason is that if you have a second job, we need a 2-year history of you having 2 jobs. So people are often putting misconceptions. They're doing.
So what she's saying is true. And that is, no matter what job you work at, they want a job history with you. Not just because you just worked this job for 3 or 4 months. I think some are a year, and now she's saying 2 years, and I wouldn't doubt it's going to be at least 2 years because of right now. And this she's going to get into. I want her to explain the nuts and bolts of when you what happens when you're looking for a house and what you prepare yourself for when you're looking for a home. And then I'm gonna hook you with another brother. We're gonna talk about why it is not feasible for you to buy a home right now. Let's check it out. Here we go. Yeah.
Based on what they think is logical, when that is 100% not the way lending works. Okay, so the number one thing you can do right now is get a plan. So I have links in all my videos to my calendar. I do not charge for any of this, guys. Like, if you do a loan with me, will I charge you? Yeah, totally. That's what lenders do. That's how we make money. But if you're just calling and asking questions, am I going to charge you to ask a question? No.
And that's what I do. I'm not charging you. This no. You know, and if I somehow get monetized, then that's it. But all the questions you ask are going to be free, and that's what I like about this young lady here. On top of that, check her out.
Day long. There's a reason I have over 200 videos on YouTube. It's not because I like to be on camera. It's because, you know, I want you guys to have information. And what I see consistently is I see people structuring what they think will make a good loan, but they're not lenders. So they don't know what we're going to go for. So then they've done, and a lot of times.
And this is why I really want to see this. I know I'm cutting in on this, but yes, it's knowing, having a plan, because I'm on that route. I'm still going to try to buy a home. So information I'm giving to you, and I want you to be aware of it. And I say, it doesn't stop at me. You're going to have to do your homework, but check her out.
Necessary steps. And sometimes they've hurt themselves. You know, I've had people that are like, well, I'm going to pay off my car first. Wait. When you pay off your car, it closes the trade line. Depending on your credit history, that can drop your score. Like, people don't realize that niche stuff. Or they're like, you know, oh, well, I won't file my taxes, and then you won't see the loss. I'm going to ask for a profit and loss. So there's a lot of different stuff that as a lender, we're looking for red flags so that we can help put you on the right plan. So for instance, I was talking to a client just yesterday.
Okay, I want to stop right there. Hey, respect to you, Mashawn, First Magnum. Thank you. Real quick. Okay, so what you're saying is right. Now I want you to understand this. Okay, so my FICOs now are in the 700s. So one of the things is the high interest rate cards that you have. You want to look at how often if it's an annual fee, how much you're going to get hit if you're not paying that off. So if you got $5,000 on it, you can't pay the $5,000 off in a year. You're going to get hit with an annual fee on that, which can keep racking it up for you. So if you're going to get something like a credit line that has a no interest annual fee on it, and you can borrow the money, and we'll talk about that. Another guy I'm going to introduce you to, but I want you to check this, continue listening. I'm going to show you why. After this beautiful lady finishes talking, I'm going to show you this other brother's page, and I'm going to show you why buying a home right now is not feasible. Here we go.
They were going to be moving from California to Florida. And I see this a lot. People are moving states right now. But the big thing most people don't realize is that you need to have a job lined up. Yeah, or you need to be able to work remote. So in this case, thankfully they talked to me quickly enough so that I could say, hey, here are the 3 things based off your scenario that you need to do. Before we fill out an application, before you get ready, this is what you have to work on. Once you accomplish those 3 things, then let's fill out an application.
And that's why it's good to get a lender. They're laying off a lot of lenders right now. But this lady's for free, and so I wear
application, okay? Because here's what could have happened. Let's say they just did what most normal people do. They go online to a big box lender who has lots of commercials, and they fill out an application. And the application may spit back as approved, and they're like, oh, I'm approved. And then once they're in contract, the lender goes, well, wait, you're in California, this is in Florida, what about your job? You must be able to work remote, right? And they're like, no, I can't work remote, but you approved me. And they're like, oh.
And there goes your application right there. So it's making sure that you have a steady income and where it's going to be coming from, thinking about the remote. So
right? Whereas in this case, you know, this couple made the decision to call us early so we could say you need to do these 3 things, and they're on that path. And that's the real big thing. If you want to buy a house in 2022, just book a time. Let's talk about where you are. I will say, like, you know, because I talk to people and I'm like, yeah, you got everything nailed out. Like, I agree with this plan that you have. As soon as you hit this milestone that you've created, let's go. But having a professional actually validate your plan, it's worth it. And I say that because I hit so many people where I'm like, okay, like they need to move in 30 days because their lease is up. And they don't qualify. And there's stuff they could have done so they would qualify, but they didn't know. And that's okay, and that's normal. You guys aren't supposed to know everything. So the number 1 thing, if you want to buy a house in 2022, is to get with a lender and get a plan. I'm licensed in 48 states. You guys can pick a time on my calendar. I am happy to sit there, even if you're not buying for 2 years. You tell me where you're at. I'll tell you where I'm looking at that.
All right, so check her out, and this is why I say I'm just going to hit you with what I have seen, and everything is going to be about trying to help you improve and you're making sure your health is on point as well. You dig? Okay, so that's one. Now, I want you to check out this other brother of mine. I like him, Beeston Mindset. And I'm going to catch you kind of like in the middle of his video, but what I'm going to show you his page. So if you are even cruising it, here you go. Let me see, cruising by his page. You can check it out. And what I want you to do is check it out for you. Like I say, you don't have to believe me. I want you to check it out and give me your feedback from it. Because like I said, we're trying to focus on getting your money and your paper stacks up as well as your health is number 1. All right, so now I want to see, and this is where we're going to kind of start in the middle of this video, but if you go to his video, I'll put the name of it up. You can see what he's talking about as far as, here we go.
Not transitory. However, we were told that the 7% inflation that we saw in 2021 was the peak, and then inflation was going to start going down. So the Federal Reserve Bank didn't have to take any urgent action to bring inflation down.
Now, if you look closer, hopefully you can see that his board that's up. He started earlier, and it's going back from when inflation started at the 2008. And he started talking about how that affect and how it's how things are going now. So we're just moving forward now. You can see we're going into 2022. So hang with us, though. Fair use. He's going to talk to you about why it's not feasible and how much inflation is really hitting you, and not just your homes, but your cars as well. Food, everything is going up, goods and services, here we go.
And that allowed the Federal Reserve Bank to keep mortgage rates low for longer because they wanted to see the economy boom. Remember, the Federal Reserve Bank wanted to grow the economy, and they weren't worried about inflation in 2021 because we were coming out of the pandemic, and so the Fed wanted to see the economy grow, and inflation wasn't an issue, so they kept interest rates artificially low. That way people could keep buying homes, that way we could keep seeing growth in the housing market and could keep fueling this bubble in our economy and different asset classes. And then came 2022. Well, before we get into 2022, you might be wondering if people thought that we were building a housing market bubble when we were in 2021. And the answer is no. Pretty much every mainstream media kept talking about how it's not possible that we could be building some sort of housing market bubble. And you might be wondering, but how? It seems so obvious that we could be building a housing market bubble. Well, the answer is because the Federal Reserve Bank. They said that our economy is so strong, and they also said that this time is different, so raising interest rates would not cause a
Okay, now I know I stopped in the middle, but I want to, when we get to this, I want to see how we as citizens, how we play into this loop and how we come around. We'll get to this, but I want to finish and show you this here. I apologize.
slowdown in the housing market. 2022 was when we really started to see things change in the housing market. When it comes to mortgage rates, we saw mortgage rates go from about 3% in the beginning part of 2022 to about 7%, almost 7% today at the time of me recording my video. So we have seen mortgage rates more than double in this year alone, which really is pretty unheard of in the mortgage market. The reason why mortgage rates have grown so aggressively in 2022 is because, well, inflation wasn't transitory like the Federal Reserve Bank thought it was going to be. In fact, it wasn't peaking in 2021 like the Fed thought it was going to be. We saw inflation hit a high of over 9% in the middle part of 2022. And this is the economic war and the fight that the Federal Reserve Bank is playing and fighting, where they want to bring inflation down. And the way that they are doing that is by raising interest rates. And one of the consequences of these raising interest rates are higher mortgage rates, and higher mortgage rates hurt a housing market, especially when the housing market has been propped up based off of these super low mortgage rates over the last few years. So now home affordability has fallen to the lowest levels ever, and people just don't want to buy a home. That's why home sales began to fall in February. They continued to fall in March, and then April, and then May, and then June, and then July. And now we have seen home sales fall for 7 consecutive months. And for the first time, we're also seeing home prices start to fall. This is where now all those people that kept saying that inflation was transitory here, who said that there's no housing market bubble here, are now starting to get worried about the housing market. Some people are still saying that the housing market's strong, there's nothing to worry about, you don't got to worry about a potential recession. But some people, more and more people, are starting to say that it looks like that we're going to see a recession in 2023, and that our housing market, along with other asset classes, are going to get hurt, which has everybody wondering what's coming next in 2023 and 2024 and on. Now I want you to take a good look at this, because I'm going to erase this and talk about the two different things that you want to pay attention to. The two things that you want to be paying attention to are the housing market and then the housing market dominoes. Now I'm going to be diagramming this out right in front of you, but if you want to stay up to date on what's happening, the best way to do that is by actually reading the housing market data and not just reading the headlines that are published by most of the mainstream news, because those headlines are emotional and they don't always give you the full story. So you want to be actually reading and studying the data, that way you can make good, smarter decisions for yourself.
And this is why I tell you, even with listening to me, I'm going to try to point you in some directions where I say I'm following, but it may not be for you. But this is why you really need to just, wise counseling and doing your homework. Here we go.
Now, if you're not interested in doing that, or if you don't want to spend all the time doing that, then the next best thing would be to subscribe to something like Market Briefs, which is my free $296,000 inflation and the global economy. It is a very easy to read news description below. And now let's start by talking about the housing market costs. Now, when people are talking about or worried about a potential housing market crash because home prices and mortgage rates have gone up, that's only the first piece of the puzzle. So let's start by talking about that. In 2020, the median home in America was selling for around $329,000. And if you put down 10%, that would mean that you're borrowing $296,000. And back then, you could get a 30-year fixed rate mortgage for 3.1%, which meant your monthly payment was going to be $1,264. In 2022, home prices have gone up quite a bit since then. Now I'm talking about towards the end of 2022. Well, that same median home today is going to cost you $440,000. So you're paying a lot more dollars to buy the exact same home. If you put down the same 10%, well, now you're going to borrow about $396,000, meaning you have to borrow about $100,000 more. So not only do you have to pay more, you also got to borrow more dollars, but you're also going to pay a much higher interest rate to borrow those dollars today than you would have just a couple of years ago. So now you're going to pay 6.7% around today's time, which means that your monthly payments are going to go up to about $2,555 a month, which is double what you were paying just a couple of years ago. So
now you see why I say let's talk about a good time. Even for unless you really actually have to get a car, the interest rates on the car is going to be high too. It's the Fed's thing to tell you blue collar people to get back to work. and get up these jobs and stop spending all that $21 an hour or something. That's my take on it. But here we go. All right. So, but I want you to listen to this, and I'm trying to move it to the end a little bit so to show you how we are in this wheel and where you are in this wheel, and you can pick and choose where you want to be in this wheel. All right. The wheel is, what goes around. Here we go.
The real cost of home ownership has doubled for the exact same home in just a couple of years, and this also means that your property taxes are higher because your property taxes are based off of the home value. So if the home value is higher, your property taxes are higher, your property insurance.
Now, we'll back up just a little bit, but I want you to understand this. As a disabled veteran, depends on what state you're going to. If you get those tax exemptions, we talked about this. So that can mean next year your property taxes can go up. And if you are, paying property taxes, anything you add on as an additional to your place can make your property taxes go up. Now, if you're 100% exempt from that, then we talked about that before, so you need to go look it up. Okay, here we go.
Double what you were paying just a couple of years ago. So the real cost of home ownership has doubled for the exact same home in just a couple of years, and this also means that your property taxes are higher because your property taxes are based off of the home value. So if the home value is higher, your property taxes are higher, your property insurance is higher, utility bills are higher. It's twice as expensive to buy the same home today than it was a year ago, and so if your income has not doubled since 2020, it is going to be more difficult for you to go out and buy a home.
Okay, now another thing, like he said, is getting more. Now, I want you to pay attention because he's going to be mentioning what people are running to now in order to keep from paying that higher thing or keep their housing from going underwater. Now, pay attention. Hopefully, I get to the next few. If not, I'll kind of get to that. But just like he mentioned, what people forget, you're paying homeowners insurance, you're paying property taxes, maintenance, everything. If you want maintenance to done on your house, that's done increased now because the cost of the interest rates are going up. So pay attention, okay? And you're the only one that's in control of your money, but I'm just going to throw this at you now. Check this out. Keep it rolling.
Which is why so many people are struggling to buy a home. By the way, for some context, if this was the home that you could have afforded back in 2020 and your income didn't double, maybe you saw a slight growth in income like most people did, and you can afford a $1,300 mortgage today, well, that means that you can only borrow a maximum of $200,000 today based off of this mortgage rate, assuming you put 10% down, meaning the most that you can pay for a home is about $223,000, which is quite a bit lower than what it is here. So this is the first part of the domino that you want to understand, which is people are having a tough time being able to afford homes because the cost of home ownership has gone up so significantly.
Now understand, I'm telling you this not to make you afraid. I'm telling you that so you can compare. It's already these are the wheels that are already going in motion. So if you own a home or you plan to buy a home, this will kind of give you where you can probably be looking at what time to do it. But like I say, right now we're talking about saving up keeping control of your health, and so when that time comes, you're ready. Okay, here we go.
Now, while this rise in mortgage rates does make it more expensive for people to buy a home, it also makes it more attractive for people to look for alternative options on how to buy a home. What do I mean? Well, things like adjustable rate mortgages. Because now we have started to see not only institutions talk about the benefits and the saving benefits of adjustable rate mortgages, but we have seen adjustable rate mortgages grow to the biggest and
what are adjustable rate mortgages? Check it out. It can help you, it can hurt you. This is playing the stocks.
most popular levels since the 2008 crash. In September of 2022, we have seen the highest percentage of home buyers use an adjustable rate mortgage in the last 15 years. Why are people going back to adjustable rate mortgages? Because they cannot afford a home with 6.7% interest rates. Instead, they see that the bankers say, well, if you can't afford this, how about we give you an adjustable rate mortgage where you can get a mortgage for 5 to 5.5%. But what they don't tell you, or maybe they do tell you, but people just don't understand, it's that this 5 to 5.5% that you're paying for your mortgage isn't permanent. It's something that you pay for the next 5 years. This is a 5-to-1 arm, which means that after 5 years, your interest rate is going to readjust. And it's going to readjust based off of what interest rates are. And if in 5 years, meaning in 2027, interest rates are higher than where they are today, that means your mortgage payment is also going to be higher than where it would be if you were to go out and get a 30-year fixed rate mortgage today. Now, of course, 5 years is a long way out.
Right? Like you say, it's a long way out. Just like so 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14, if it was then, you'd probably be in control. But this is stocks, bonds, 401ks. This is what you're kind of playing with your property. But check it out. Interesting, isn't it? Isn't it? I'm like, this is what you should know. There you go.
Where many people are betting that I'm going to be able to make more money. My home is going to be worth more, or I'm not going to have any issue paying the higher interest rate, or maybe the Federal Reserve Bank might cut interest rates. And so it's a big bet for people to go out and take an adjustable rate mortgage. And what we know is that the popularity and demand for adjustable rate mortgages is skyrocketing right now. Now, the reason why this becomes so important today is because the Federal Reserve Bank is on a mission to bring inflation down. How are they working to bring inflation down?
Yes.
By raising interest rates. They say that they're going to continue to raise interest rates until they can bring inflation down to 2%, even if that means hurting the housing market, even if that means hurting the economy. And now that we're starting to see...
So you see this now. The interest rates are continue going up. And they're going to continue to go up. Yeah. And it's just my thing, and I'm not a financial expert or whatever, but this $21 an hour thing can't keep up. And so they try to get it in control. And that is by bringing us back to reality, I guess. I mean, because we knew it. I mean, it's Washington State, a 3-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 2-bath home was going on almost $1 million. Location. All right, but here we go. So once you guys, it's just things that make you look up.
home prices go down. That means if you don't have a lot of equity in your home, you could potentially go underwater on your home. And this is a situation that you want to start thinking about, because the average home buyer is putting only a 6% down payment down on their homes. Meaning,
now, pay attention. This is underwater. If you haven't been there, if you haven't got a grasp on it, here we go.
People who have bought a home recently in the last year or so only have 6% equity in their homes. So if we were to see the housing market fall by, say, 10%, which really isn't that much considering the huge run-up that we saw in the last 2 years, you're going to have a lot of people who are underwater on their homes. Now, if you're underwater on your home and something happens to your income, you don't have that much incentive to keep paying your mortgage because, well, you're underwater. When you're underwater, you don't have the same incentive. You don't have the skin in the game. That's the whole idea behind equity, is when you have equity in the home, you have skin in the game. So you want to keep making your payments because you want to protect the equity that you have. But if you have negative equity, meaning you're underwater in your home, that incentive isn't there. So this is where now the worries about an economic slowdown can really affect the housing market, because if home prices go down, but people still have jobs, then people aren't as likely to stop paying the mortgages because you still have an income. But if home prices fall and people's incomes also fall.
There's no equity, no skin in the game. That's why you had walkaways from properties in 2008. They couldn't, but he was playing that. They had ninja loans. You didn't have to have no down payments, no job. You didn't have to show anything. Move into the house. And then what happened was the interest rates started going up, and people with no job, no nothing, they'll explain it to you. Check it out.
Well, now you're underwater on a home and you don't have an income. Now, what's your incentive to find a way to stay in that home and continue making your payments? This is the concern in the housing market, which brings me to number 2, the housing market domino. Banks aren't dumb. Are they greedy? Yes. Do they take risks? Absolutely. However, they also understand how to take calculated risks, because when they sell a mortgage with a very low down payment, you would think that that would be a high risk, especially when you're in such a bloated housing market. However, this is where you have to understand a little bit of the housing market system to understand the whole domino of the housing market. So let's say this is you right here. I'm gonna draw you with a nice mustache, or as we like to call it in my native language, Punjabi, a much. Or for my female followers, let's draw you a nice braid, or as we like to call it in my native language, Punjabi, a gut. You wanna go out and buy a home. So now you go to the bank and you
This
say,
is how you
hey
get into
bank,
the system.
we want to
Watch
go
this.
out and buy a home. Well, the bank is going to give you money to buy the home, but the bank isn't just going to hold on to your mortgage.
Nope.
They're going to sell this mortgage off to somebody else. That way the bank doesn't assume any of the risk.
Now, I want you to understand this too. For anybody who ever falls in defaults and have a person, a collector, calling them, it depends on the weight of the collector, and most of those collectors buy the debt from the person who they originally bought it from. So they buy that debt from them, and then they will charge you an astronomical fee to settle that debt because that's the percentage they get off the top of the debt. It's not coming from the original people. And the original people, they will tell you not to call them, even though you still can call the original people and settle that issue with them. The collectors don't want you to do that because they're making a little bit of money off of you. But here we go. This is mortgage, okay? Yeah. All right, this is mortgage. Let's go.
So they give you this money for the mortgage, and then immediately the bank is gonna sell your mortgage to this entity right here, which is Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac.
Yeah.
Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are the biggest purchasers of mortgages out there, and they are sponsored and backed by none other than the United States government.
So you dig this. Now watch how the circle goes and how they all are making money guaranteed. And it's all because of you and I. Check it out.
So they are backed by the government right here. And the interesting thing is the government doesn't have any money. Remember, the government isn't a for-profit entity. The government generates their money from taxpayers, people like you, from your tax dollars. So you go to work, you run your investments, you run your business, you make money, and then you have to pay taxes to the government. So now, the government backs Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, which means the government is backed by people. So the bank makes a mortgage, and then they're going to sell it off here. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac will buy these mortgages because they're backed by the government, and the government's willing to do that because they're backed by you.
You see this? They guaranteed money as long as you're alive. As long as you're a taxpayer in the system. That's where it's guaranteed by you. So and actually we're not told it's really controlled by us. If we understand why we're motivated to spend money, like Christmas, they always project that this is the amount of money that's going to be spent at certain holiday seasons because they're looking at how we are responding and then how items are put out on the market. And I will tell you, which is kind of crazy to me, if you just bought the iPhone 13 Pro, why the iPhone 14? Because it can fall in the toilet and it won't die on you, or because the battery can last longer, you're paying an extra $1,200 for what? All right, here we go. This is what I'm saying. You see how we are in the system here.
So the banker doesn't take any risk. And what happened was in 2021, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac said, oh, home prices are going up a lot. So what can we do? Well, let's increase how much we're willing to insure. And then Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac started buying mortgages up to $1 million in some areas, meaning that now banks can make even more loans and they have more ability to sell it to Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. So Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac are now opening up the doors to buy more mortgages from banks, which is why banks are okay being more risky with these mortgages because they don't take any of the risk. A banker who is now selling the mortgage, they just get a commission when somebody signs the paperwork.
It's killer. The bank takes your money, charge you an interest rate for putting it in savings. And if you just have it sitting around, they know you're going to have an average in your account, which they say with some accounts, you have to have a minimum of what? $2,000 in some accounts. So what do you think they're doing with that money? Give me 8 million of you. Let's go 1 million of you with a $2,000 minimum in your account. You put it into there. I'm going to be doing what? I'm going to be using your money to make loans when people come into the bank and wants to buy loans. And then what I do? Flip it over to Fannie Mae. And then what? They guaranteed by the federal government, which is guaranteed by you. Check it out.
They don't maintain or take on any of that risk. And so this is where you have to understand this whole idea of risk because banks aren't taking on the risk. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac aren't taking on the risk. The government is kind of taking on the risk, but the risk ultimately comes back to regular people. Why? Because regular people always bail out the entities when they fail. Now let's add one more.
We did that in 2008, didn't we? We bailed them out.
More layer to this. About a minute ago, I was talking about how as long as people have jobs, they will have the ability to continue paying their mortgages, and people are likely to pay their mortgages so long as the economy is strong. Well, this entity right here, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, has talked about the economic slowdown. They have said that they believe that we're going to be entering a recession. However, the recession will be mitigated because of the strong housing market. That's what they said in the early part of 2022. And so what they're saying is that because the housing market was so strong in 2022 and is so strong, that is going to cushion the recession. That's the reason why the recession won't be bad. That's the reason why so many people will not lose their jobs. Well, this is now where you start to run into the chicken and the egg dilemma, or what's going to cause what. Because now if the economy does slow down and it does hurt the housing market, now you start to create this negative spiral. And this is where now you can start by looking at the lending business. And the reality is lenders are getting hurt. We've seen a number of lenders do mass layoffs, and we've seen other lenders completely shut their doors.
Did we just talk about lenders? If you're looking to get into a home, now a lot of people are looking to get into a home. We just talked about that, getting with the lender so you can get you a plan, a strategy to buy a home. So what's happening?
Because people aren't interested in continuing to go out and buy a home. And now you might be wondering, why aren't home prices falling even faster if we're seeing the mortgage market get hurt, if we're seeing home costs go up so significantly? Well, you also got to understand interest and intent and just human psychology, because people are much more likely and much more willing to raise the price of their homes, but they're less likely and less interested to cut the price of their homes. So if you're listing a home for sale, it's going to take you more nudging, more pressure, and more time to cut the price of your home as it would to raise the price of their home.
All right. So you guys getting it, right? All right. So I want you guys to go check them out. There's a couple other people I want you to, I would like for you to check out. Let me see what that. I'd like for you to check out. Let me put these guys over here. This is from my other screen here. Spencer Cornell, good brother. He talks to you a lot about guys who are scammers. He's actually a real estate person in Vegas too. So Vegas is getting hurt pretty hard right now. Another good brother on here is Pocket Watching with JT. Please listen, check out this brother here. He talks about a lot with frauds and all that on his videos. Let me get his videos home. He talks about how to save you money and what you should be looking for. He's also a good guy to talk to in the event that you need assistance with mortgages and all that stuff right there. He'd be able to help you out with that. So I just want you guys to be aware that I'm always doing I always think I do an hour right now. Because I just try to give you guys what you know. And hey, you guys, oh man, it's like I say, First Magnum, man, it's always good to see you, my brother. Always. I say that with all of you guys. I really do appreciate you very much. I usually try to come up and give you guys something. I think one of these days, First Magnum, that'll be a good night, my brother. One of these days, I'm gonna actually come up and do a late with Magnum. You gotta let me know when a good time for you, because I do miss you over there, my brother, and I know that my stream here. And I apologize for that for you guys, but I'm going to get up out of here, you guys. I'm glad to see you, First Magnum. I really do appreciate you, my brother, and we got to get in and chop it up. I'm going to be sending my paperwork to somebody, and I want to know how you're doing on your appeal. You just hit me, and we'll talk via email, and I'll let you know what's going on here. I'm going to let you guys know what's going on. As soon as I get a little bit of update on it, I'm sending some messages out today. And so that's by Wednesday. Hopefully, I'm connected with somebody, which I'm pretty sure I will be. I met some really beautiful people, and I just want to keep you guys turned in on what's going on. Okay, First Magnum, this one's for you, my brother, and I love you, man. Always good to see you. So this one's dedicated to First Magnum. Please check out his page there, Patty J, as well, and check out everyone that came here, Kappa YU. Who? Yeah, as well. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. Michelle Denise, my sister, I love you. Thank you very much. Okay, you guys, I love you very much. First Magnum, have a good night, my brother. Patty J, love you, Queen. I'll call you tomorrow. Later, guys. Have a good night. Oh, one more thing. Look at that person in the mirror. Tell that person that you love them and that you're proud of them. See how the Black Veteran went out. Take care.